Now, Deeptika, Laurent is here in the studio with me for a look through the papers. And you're starting in India, where a week of unrest continues against the government's controversial citizenship law.
That's right. Protests in India have turned violent, Naomi, as police opened fire, killing at least 2 people. Hundreds of thousands of people have been demonstrating, decrying the government's citizenship law, saying it's anti-Muslim. It sparked condemnation from the paper's editors today of The Hindu, who urge authorities to facilitate expression of views, not suppression of rights. They say the Times of India also looking at this on its front page, noting that Delhi, the capital, was in lockdown virtually yesterday. 1,200 people were detained. Cell phone and internet services were shut down in many parts of India, including its tech hubs and Delhi. The Times of India also reporting that 10,000 academics have penned an open letter condemning police brutality over these days-long protests.
Wow, and it's making international headlines as well, isn't it?
That's right. It's on the. It's actually the focus of today's editorial in the Washington Post, in which the paper notes that the internet shutdown there in India is the longest ever by a democracy. The paper saying it also begs the question how long a country that follows this sinister path can truly be called a democracy at all. There's an interesting piece from Bloomberg as well, in which the writer wonders what exactly is Prime Minister Narendra Modi's endgame in all of this. His government might well have been pleased with the initial backlash to the law because it played into this, quote, divisive gambit. But now, looking at the scale of the crisis, Narendra Modi must be wondering what he has unleashed.
I'm sure. And you have found an article that defends the citizenship bill. That's in the Asia Times?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, critics of the bill say it's anti-Muslim and that Muslim families who've been living in India for their whole lives could face deportation. Critics are also concerned that the law excludes, for instance, Myanmar's heavily persecuted Rohingya Muslims. The writer here, though, says that India has the right to ensure the security of its own people, and that surely it doesn't want to be caught in the crossfire of the Rohingya crisis. This writer saying the main purpose of the law is to give a legal identity to, quote, ill-fated nationless folk, also noting that Muslims in the past have been granted nationality in India.
OK, well, let's head next to Australia, where devastating bushfires have claimed the lives of 2 volunteer firefighters. What more do you have on that?
Well, no rain in sight, soaring temperatures, high winds as well have propelled these bushfires along Australia's east coast. Yesterday, 2 volunteer firefighters were killed when their truck rolled in what the Daily Telegraph is calling a horror day on the front lines. Both men were young fathers. Their children were actually born just 2 days apart. Their children are 19 months old. Their deaths also prompted Prime Minister Scott Morrison to end his Hawaii holiday and come back to face the music, because indeed he's been slammed for choosing to vacation at this time when Australia is in a state of emergency and volunteers are giving up their time and now their lives to fight these fires. When asked about being on vacation, this writer for The Age says Morrison lied to journalists. His whole handling of the situation was, quote, sloppy and arrogant. And as he returns to Australia on Saturday, he's facing a much bigger problem than if he had just been honest about the whole thing.
Sure. OK, well, something a bit different then. And Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling has found herself embroiled in a transphobia scandal. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, it's a curious case. It's making the front page of the Daily Mail today. As you can see there, the website Vox explains that J.K. Rowling responded to a significant court case in the UK, this involving a woman called Maya Forstater, a vocal, quote, trans-exclusionary radical feminist who sued her think tank company after her contract was not renewed. She argues that it was not renewed because she expressed deeply transphobic discourse. This is what is being argued, making employees uncomfortable. Well, on Thursday, J.K. Rowling tweeted a message supporting Forstater and has since faced a Twitter backlash from fans. And as this article from Vox explains, it's not the first time she's found herself embroiled in such a scandal. You can read about it in this article.
OK, and finally, I don't know if you know, I didn't know, I'd have brought mine in, but it's World Ugly Christmas Sweater today, and you do have yours.
I did. I brought it in. Ugly? This is my ugly Christmas sweater, or kitsch Christmas sweater, so we say. It's the 3rd Friday of December that's been designated Ugly Christmas Sweater Day, a day to pull out those undesirable kitsch jumpers, you know, the ones that we always get gifted but never want. That's now become sort of an anti-fashion icon, Naomi. The website explains that it's a Christmas sweater by definition is anything that is gaudy or tacky. Some fun facts: Vancouver claims to be the first city to have hosted the first Christmas jumper party back in 2002. And no doubt stars like Colin Firth embody the ugly Christmas sweater. Who can forget his sweater game in Bridget Jones?
Who can forget, indeed. Okay, Deeptika Laurent, thank you very much. Good to have you here.